Thanks for tuning in. There's a lot going on, and one of the things I am thankful for is that my Father in heaven always takes care of me. And those of you who are in the United States and don't know about our, government helping us, and a lot of governments around the world are helping, their people. So that's good. And being unemployed right now, I started drawing unemployment and got my first payment, and the federal government throws in another $600 with that. And so that's very helpful because I've been preparing to relocate to the South eventually. And, I didn't have a lot saved, but I had enough saved, to get me through this month and stuff. So that was good. But not much more than that. And because even though I'm semi-retired, the money I get from Social Security pays my rent and my truck, and then I have to have other money coming in, to pay for the other things, and paying my credit cards. I'm trying to get out of credit and things like that, working that down. And I got one huge debt out of the way a little last month, so that was really good. I was really thankful for that. And so that's making it a bit easier. But what's coming through, that will help me to buy a cargo trailer that I need. And I wanted to buy like an 18-footer, but the prices on those, even used ones, were up there. And so I just, kept looking around. The trailers really seem to hold their value well. And I've been looking different places. And I have a small landscaping trailer right now. It's 8 feet by 5 feet. Not very big. But I keep my propane, cans on there, and gas cans, stuff like that, lawnmower stuff I have to keep outside because I live in an apartment. And I thought if I got a cargo trailer, then I could get that stuff in there plus more, and hopefully I can get everything I own into there when I move, because I've been getting rid of a lot of stuff, over the past 10 years. Just sold off thousands of dollars worth of stuff that I no longer need. And, and here, my tables and chairs are fold up. I don't have anything real heavy. Probably the heaviest thing I have is the recliner in the bed. And the recliner is a small recliner. And I have, heavy-duty plastic shelves that I use, to stack things. And I do have some storage in the bedroom. So those come in handy. And I actually have my bed up on a set of them, so that, I got more room under the bed, and I can slide things underneath there to store that there. And so, quite possibly when I, get a cargo trailer and it comes time to move, I think I'm going to just put the bed in the front crosswise, because I want to get a 7-foot wide trailer, and the bed is 6 feet or a little more, or something like that. So it should fit in there, and I'll put that on top of the heavy-duty plastic shelves, slide a bunch of stuff underneath there, and then put stuff in wherever else I can, and that'll be handy too, because these, I don't know if these have camper doors. I wish they did. I guess you can get them made like that, but some of the places I'd looked, the prices were higher than what I'm seeing at this one particular store. So, because on the road you can stop, and if you had a camper door, you can go in there and lock it from inside and just sleep on the bed in there. And but even at that, if I don't have that, I can just sleep inside the cab of the truck. If I had to spend a night on the road driving somewhere or something. So as I've been searching and digging and thinking and contemplating and trusting and praying and all that stuff. I think I'm finally coming down to, what I want to do and what I can afford. I thought of putting a cap on my pickup truck, but that's not going to give me as much room as a 7x14 cargo trailer. I want one 18 feet long, but the price starts to go up pretty quick after 14 feet. Even the 14 footers aren't real cheap, but if I buy just a cap for the truck, it's about almost half the price of a cargo trailer. And I thought, how could that be? It seems to me like there's a lot more that goes into a cargo trailer, and for each dollar you spend is well worth it in comparison to just a cap, for an 8-foot bed on a pickup truck. So, it takes me a while to figure out the best thing that, to do as far as what I can do and what I can afford and things like that. So, it's takes some time, but, praying to the Father, and, I have a lady friend in the South, and I want to go visit her, and so I was hoping to have left last Thursday, but some things came up that kept me here, which were good, actually, and so I'm looking, hopefully, maybe by next week sometime, to be able to head down, and I'm going to get things in place here, so if I am down there, like around the first of the month, I thought I'm just going to go ahead, and pay my rent early before I leave, because I have the money there to do it, even early in the month. So the Father's been good to me that way. I don't have a lot of money, but He's blessing me, and there's going to be more coming in with stimulus checks and things like that. So it's helping me to getting my credit cards paid down faster too, which is a great blessing. And today I paid a good chunk, on them. So, I'm working on that, because, and also, keeping some cash in my pocket, and trying to, just consider what could happen, because, if the bank system goes down or whatever, we can't get to our money, we're going to need to have some cash as long as cash is useful. So I've been doing some of that, and, just trusting the Father and walking in faith and doing what I can on my end, and, once I'm trying to discern the time to relocate too. A lot of that's going to depend on having certain debt paid off too. I'm not just going to bail out. That's not right. It's not scriptural. I made those debts for myself. I'm responsible for them. So I'm working on that stuff, and one of the nice things was I had some extra money, and I don't often eat out. But I thought, I'm going to go get me a nice steak and cheese sub. And did that, and, out here, at some of the restaurants are open that can do, takeout. And so, and they just keep their dining rooms are closed. You can't go in there and sit down, stuff like that. And so there was another guy there waiting for food. Him and I talked about it, and it was pretty interesting. I told him, he mentioned he'd gone to Pennsylvania because he wanted to go fishing down there. And he went to get a license, and they wouldn't let him do it because he didn't live in the state, And so that was kind of funny. I said, "Boy, that's odd." I was going to go buy a rifle today, and couldn't do it. The cashier wasn't in that department, and they weren't selling anything out of there. And I thought, boy, that's something that. And I told him, I said, I don't know why they figure that hunting and fishing isn't important. It's part of life. That's how you get food. Partly the way you get food, at least you can get meat like that, So what can you do? But, the lockdown here is supposed to lift on the 15th of this month, May 15th, which is this coming Friday. So if that happens, I go to the store Sunday morning. I hope I can buy that rifle and buy enough ammo. I'm hoping to purchase a compound bow as well, and those two things, and get plenty of arrows, and I want to take a little time to go out and do some target practice with them, especially with new rifle and new bow. You kind of want to get a feel for that. And the rifle may have to be sighted in, depending on what kind of ammo you're using with it. If you're using a hollow point or whatever, it's going to shoot a little differently. So we have some government land not far from here, big wildlife refuge, and they have areas set up there that you can go out and do target practice. So I'll pick up some paper targets also. I don't know what they have out there. I was out there one time. I forget if it was just bales of hay or dirt mounds or something, and I'll get a target set up there to shoot at and stuff, and maybe take an afternoon out there and make sure the scope on the rifle's sighted in well, and get a feel for the compound bow. The other bow I had was not a compound bow. It was a long time ago. Place my dad and his buddy had owned that we used for a hunt camp. I got broken into when my bow was stolen out of there. So I haven't bought one since. But I think I want to buy a compound bow, and I understand they do have more power, maybe a little easier to pull depending. But I'll get a feel for it, and I always liked archery. So I'm going to get one of those and get a feel for that stuff, and those could come in useful, especially in a survival situation. And so that's something I definitely want to pick up, and so Lord willing, Sunday morning I hope to go out there and maybe at least buy the rifle and plenty of ammo for that. I'll buy several boxes. And then maybe a little later in the week or something, I'll go look at the compound bows and stuff like that, and choose what arrows I want to get, and decide what tips I want to get from them. I mean, some will just be regular tips for target practice, and then I'll, of course, get a bunch that, with the razor tips for hunting, stuff like that. And so that's what I'm looking at doing, and also, like I say, next week, taking a trip down south to visit my lady friend and spend some time there in fellowship. There's another fellowship, too, into the next state over, and that's really the state I want to eventually, migrate to. And I think she's, wanted to do that as well, so that works out well that, both of us have, the same idea with that. And there's people I fellowship with there already online. There's a fellowship that's pretty decent. They have a live video every Sabbath, so that's pretty neat. And it seems like the Father's giving me direction, because I know I wanted to move to the south for quite a while, or somewhere. And I started in 2004 actually, looking around. I'd driven around, down south, down to Florida one time over New Year's of 2004, observing how the winter was on the way down. When driving through Charlotte, North Carolina, it was about 30 degrees, and snow on the ground, and not as bad as it was up here where I am. And once I got into South Carolina, just one state away, it wasn't that far, I got out of the truck, and it was 70 degrees out. And I go, wow, my dad just happened to call me on the phone. I said, perfect timing. I just stopped in a rest area. But what a complete difference, over New Year's in South Carolina, having 70-degree weather. It's, I don't know what 70 degrees feels like here, and over New Year's, or at least man's New Year's, not biblical New Year's, but man's New Year's, January 1. And so I don't mind some winter and, some cold, because if you don't have some, then your winters are going to just be too hot. Half-sister of mine, her husband, had moved down to South Carolina at one point, and they got rid of their home up here, and but it was just too hot. They didn't like it. They came back. They managed to get their home back. I guess they had some money laid away, and they had just enough to get that. So they're still up here in New York State, you know. And but for a long time, I know I wanted to move to the South. I traveled out west too, you know, checking out different states. You know, been through Kansas, been to Kansas for 9 days. You know, serving the church I used to be involved with, and so now I had a pretty good idea, you know, where I wanted to head finally. You know, after several trips, you know, around the country, and but I didn't know exactly where or when, you know. And since connecting with people in the area that I plan on going to next week, I says, okay, now I know where. Because there's a lot of people that aren't, you know, real healthy, aren't real kind. And I says, I know true believers are kind. They are loving. And I says, that's the kind of people that I want to be connecting with. You know, when I decide to move, I want to be involved with those kind of people. I don't want to be involved with goats. You can go anywhere and find those. And so now I know where, and I just don't know when yet. So, but the Father will guide me, and a lot of it has to do with just getting my debt paid off here. And all of a sudden now, with, you know, the money that I'm receiving from the government, there's a very good chance I'll get my debt paid off very quickly. Because, you know, I got a bit there, but it's not an overload, you know. And with, you know, what I've got coming in, I'm hoping that it won't take long to just wipe everything out and be able to, you know, load a cargo trailer with everything I own, you know, fill the back of my pickup truck and say, adios, New York. I've been wanting to do that for a long time. And this state is just something else. It really is. So pray for me on that if you would. And I'll remember to pray for you too, because we're all going through something, no matter where we are, no matter what country we're in. So, you know, the Mishpachah really has to support one another and be united during any time, even good times, you know, that we don't fall just because things are going so well. You know, we don't want to forget Elohim just because things are so good, you know. And you know, it seems like, you know, people have a tendency to get closer to the Father when they're going through adversity. And, you know, He does put us through the fire, and that's what strengthens us. That's what builds patience in us. But let's not forget to seek Him when things are going well, too. Thanks for watching. I hope you are doing well where you are, that the Father's blessing you, and that you're blessing the Father. Works both ways. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. Have a great day, and shalom.